these steps are the most important, they are the most difficult, and because they're the most difficult, I do believe that they are also the most rewarding. For some of you, if not most of you, they are definitely the most painful. One person who helped me distill the idea so clearly and coherently was a guy named Alex Hermosi. He said that the things that held him back to becoming an entrepreneur who's earned 100 million plus US dollars, which is probably pounds by now, is that he held beliefs about himself, his life, his relationships, and the rest of the world that were not true. And that is astonishing, right? We grow up in a world being taught that X way is the right way. X thing is the right thing to believe in. And that just isn't the case. Otherwise, number one, you wouldn't be watching this video. Number two, you wouldn't be interested in getting different results in your life, right? And if you weren't interested in getting results in your life, that means everything that you already knew to be true about your life would be correct. But yeah, here we are. Here you are, you know. The beliefs that you hold, that I've held, that aren't true about your life, that aren't true about my life, are the beliefs that are stopping you from, or should I say, are the things that are stopping you from living the life that you truly want to live. They're posing as blocks in money / wealth creation. The beliefs that you hold about relationships is holding you against your ability to actually have the type of relationships you want. The beliefs that you hold about certain things are keeping you in a perpetual loop, a perpetual cycle, or a perpetual cycle of the outcomes that you're getting, right? Meaning that there are some beliefs that you hold about yourself, about your life, that aren't true. And they aren't true because they don't work for your life. They're not conducive to the results that you would like to obtain in your life. Now, in this part 2 segment, what we're going to be doing is helping you uncover your hindering beliefs. Uncover and then eliminate your hindering beliefs, right? And the thing is, when you don't eliminate your hindering beliefs, you start having issues, or you start having difficulties making decisions or trusting yourself. You start having low self-esteem, low self-worth. You potentially lean on the side of having chronic stress, extreme anxiety. You have difficulty building and maintaining meaningful relationships. You have difficulty setting or even achieving your goals. You're more at risk of having negative thought patterns or self-talk. I call it the intrusive one. You have a low capacity for stress. So that means that you just may have difficulties coping with change, or you have difficulties managing challenges. Definitely one that resonated with me a lot is that just difficulty of living your life authentically, right? Difficulty being in a true alignment with your values, because there's things that you believe to be true that just stop you from taking action or living your life in the way that you'd actually like to live your life, right? Like my last video, we were talking about your values, and your values are important, but some of your values you're still too afraid to take action on because you hold these beliefs about them, or about taking the said needed action, that you believe will ultimately make your life worse, or ultimately it's not worth it because someone told you a story one time, or your parents disapprove, or you just don't have the courage to do so. That leads to you really finding it difficult to live a meaningful life. If you don't take the time to examine and eliminate your hindering beliefs, you can get stuck in patterns of behavior that hold you back from achieving your goals, that hold you back from living a life worth living, a life that's fulfilling. And your beliefs may be based on your past experiences, well, they will be based on your past experiences. It may be based on past traumas. And what's really interesting about past experiences and traumas is that more time than not, you've developed these coping mechanisms, these belief systems to protect you from situations that actually occurred when you were younger. So they may have served you from age, who knows, 5 to 17, but now or 5 to 14 or 5 to 16, but now as an actual adult, they're posing as a threat from you achieving the life that you'd actually like to live. They're posing as a threat of you actually enjoying or being able to participate fully with vitality in your life. For example, if you believe that you're not worthy of love or you're not good enough, right? You'll most likely engage in those types of behaviors that reinforce that very same belief. You may avoid relationships, or you may even sabotage the relationships that you're in. What then tends to happen is that you lead a life where you repeat the cycle, repeating the same patterns, repeating the same experiences without ever moving forward or making progress. It's like each and every new person you meet will not be a brand new human being. Rather, they will be a cocoon of, or a representation or an idea of what you believe relationships are. Meaning that you'll never be able to see those people as or who they are in the long run. You may see them for who they are at the beginning, but over time, your trauma, your fears, your hindering beliefs catch up to you and the relationship you're in, and you then see the relationship, act through the relationship through the lens of what you believe relationships are, or what you believe you deserve to have within relationships. Ultimately, leading those relationships to break down, or ultimately you being in a toxic relationship. It's not the end of the world. By taking the time to identify and come to a place where you can make the choices that are more in alignment with a life that you would truly love to live, that are more in alignment with your values and your goals. Ultimately, a lot of the time, as it did for me, as it did for many of the people that I know, it involves either doing the deep work and really asking yourself the tough questions, which I'll get into in just a moment, or going to see a coach like me or a therapist and having them help you uncover the layers, helping you discover what it is that made you be who you are. And then ultimately, the most important thing is helping you recreate yourself into who it is that you would like to become. Before we get into it, right, overcoming and unearthing and then eliminating your hindering belief systems comes with a lot of benefits, right? I'd say the number one benefit is improved mental health, right? You just have so much clarity, less stress, no more anxiety, a sense of freedom, greater sense of clarity, like I said before, but this time alongside a purpose, right? Your limiting beliefs hold you back from taking ownership, taking charge, and helping you discover what it is that you truly want to get out of your life. When you overcome them, you have that greater sense of clarity and path forward to understand your values and to understand your goals. When you uncover and eliminate your hindering beliefs, you go through an entire process of building resilience, of grieving your past self, of developing strength, character, and understanding of, number one, why it is you possibly made those decisions before, a sense of purity of knowing that you're not good nor bad for making of holding those beliefs about yourselves, and also that sense of freedom you have about those beliefs you used to hold about yourself, leading to an understanding of that you can create who you would like to be in the future, and that feeling of knowing that you can create who you would like to be in the future brings a sense of triumphantness, and also facing the truth of what it is that has been holding you back allows you to access a greater sense of power, peace, and resilience. The next thing is definitely improving relationships, right? Whether that be relationships with yourself or relationships with other people. Once you uncover your hindering beliefs, what happens is that you're no longer afraid of yourself. You're no longer afraid of your thoughts. And that being said, you become a greater communicator. You're less shy to communicate. You're less afraid to communicate because you've ultimately connected with who you are at your core. You've discovered a piece of your heart, and you can now wear that on your sleeve or give it to whomever you wish, right? The people that you care about. I think what also happens is, because you would have seen your own darkness of where that belief may have come from, or even just harboring such a belief, you have a deeper sense of empathy for yourself and also the world around you, because you realize that, wow, if I'm experiencing this, and so many people say that they experience anxiety, and this is where my anxiety stems from, then potentially how many other people are going through what I'm going through? And if not that, how many people just feel the same way I feel? That greater sense of empathy, I think, ultimately leads to a greater sense or greater feeling of connection to other people around you. Whether that just be your family, whether that just be your friends. And then, however, I know for myself, I just felt a greater sense of connection to everyone around the world, because darkness is within all of us. And so is the light. And the darkness doesn't have to define us. It only takes one person to be able to see that glimmer light within you to spark something, and also maintain something as well. I think what's even more powerful and exciting about uncovering and eliminating your hindering beliefs is that you get this hunger and this fearlessness for more growth, more development, more inquiry, more adventure. And it's a feeling that makes you feel alive. It's a feeling that comes with so much gratitude. It's a feeling that comes with so much joy and passion and general enjoyment of being alive, general enjoyment of what life has to offer, and most importantly, what you can contribute to the world, what you can contribute to life, what you can create within, in and around the world. Life no longer seems as if you're a participant watching a football match. It now seems like you're Messi, or it now seems like you're Cristiano Ronaldo on the pitch, making the passes, scoring the goals. And ultimately, that's what becomes available for you when you start facing your belief systems that are holding you back. Ultimately, what happens is that you turn into a superhero, or an anime character, or the lead actor in your favorite movie, or the lead singer in your favorite song, and it's just so exciting. It's just so exciting. So when I was 17, 18, I struggled with anxiety, right? I would get anxious about trusting myself. I would get anxious about making decisions. And at first, what I did with what I do with everything is I'd disassociate and pretend like nothing's going on and hope that everything would just go away, right? And as time went on, the anxiety actually seemed to get worse. I seemed to get more nervous. I seemed to get more stressed. I seemed to not trust the people around me. And what was even worse is that I didn't trust other people around me, but I also didn't even trust myself. So I was actually felt trapped. I actually felt stuck in a box, stuck in a hole. Eventually, that just led me to not make as many choices as I possibly can, apart from eating and sleeping. I'd definitely do my best to just stay isolated in my room all the time. I think one of my biggest hindering beliefs at the time was that I didn't believe that I was capable of making good decisions or trusting myself. At the time, I believed that something was wrong with me, and I would always struggle with the intense feeling of being a total fuck up and being a letdown and ultimately being unworthy, you know. Of course, having such a belief only reinforces your anxiety, only doubles down on your anxiety. It doesn't create an opening to feel safe. It just makes you feel worse about yourself as a person, and that's it. I just felt worse about myself as a person. So for me, it wasn't until I started meditating, listening to lucid dream audio tapes when I just before I was going whilst I was going to bed, really until I started reading and started really getting into personal development or personal growth books. It wasn't until I started asking myself who it is that I want to be, what is it that I want to do, did I actually start making headway, start redeveloping myself and learning about self-trust, learning about confidence, like real confidence, not just being cocky and over talkative or overcompensating. Like, it wasn't until I learned those things was I then able to challenge the belief, right? I had to know that I wanted change, but I didn't necessarily have the information, nor did I have the knowledge of how, or proof that I could, until I started reading those books, meditation. Also had like amazing help from my mum, a coach, and through those conversations, reading those books, number one, it's natural to feel anxious, but at the same time, it's also something that I can learn to cope with, and it's something that I can learn to manage. And I also learned that I wasn't alone with this type of struggles that I actually did have. It wasn't really the strategies that really got me there, but it was definitely nice to know that there were other things out there in the world that I can use to help me. But what ultimately did support me most is that at a core level, I knew that it was me who needed to shift something within inside, rather than it was my actions that needed shifting. It was my belief that I had of myself, my viewpoint of myself, that then allowed me to change the actions, because I could, yeah, you can start doing the actions and things change, but I found for myself is that there was a shift in my identity first before the actions. And with my clients as well, sometimes it's a shift in the actions that cause the identity shift, but for me, I realized it was a shift in identity, shift in who I wanted to be, who I saw myself as, that created such powerful momentum for me to really uncover and eliminate my hindering beliefs and start to live a life that I'd love to live. I want you to be able to do the exact same thing in your life, that being eliminate your hindering beliefs. So what I've done is I've created a step-by-step guide in such a way that you'll be able to uncover and start working your way towards eliminating your own hindering beliefs. Step one is to identify the belief, right? And the best way to identify a belief is to ask yourself, what is the thing that's holding you back in life? Or maybe if you go to your values, that within the values exercise from my last video, you'll be able to see your values that are below a 7, or and what is it that's you believe about yourself that makes those values below a 7. You can also look at areas of your life that you feel frustrated, or where you constantly struggle to make any progress in. You know, it could be public speaking, it could be your romantic relationships, it could be your friendships, it could be anything. really. Number two is to examine the evidence. Once you've identified or seen your belief that's holding you back, you've just got to ask yourself, right? Are there any examples that contradict that belief? Is there any evidence that suggests that your belief isn't true? And also, what evidence is there that makes that belief true? And the way you want to look at this is you want to look at it objectively. You want to look at it as if 1 + 1 = 2, very, very binary. If you can, remove all emotions out of your decisions and be like, okay, yes, no. Don't leave it to ambiguity and have answers like maybes or yeses or nos. Have definitive examples that if someone was to read that piece of paper, they'll be like, yes, that does mean A, B, C, D, or no, that doesn't mean A, B, C, D. And by doing so, you'll be able to create a clearer picture for yourself that will allow you to really dismantle the belief that you hold. Number three is to challenge your belief. It's to look at what you've just written down and ask yourself, is what you've written down actually based in fact? Is it based in fact, or is it just a story you've been telling yourself? And you've been telling yourself the story for so long that the story has become real, has become true. You've become to believe it. Also, ask yourself, what other ways can you interpret the belief that you hold? What other ways of looking at the situation can lead that situation to be more empowering for you? Number four, what you've got to do now is replace that belief with a new and empowering belief. So what that means is if you determine that belief to be false, or determine it to be limiting your progress, your growth, your experience of life, what you've got to do is you've got to work to replace it with a more empowering belief. And what that may look like is you finding new evidence to support the new belief that you'd want to replace. Number five, practicing the new belief. You see, once you've adopted a new belief, once you've challenged your belief, and once you've decided that it's not a belief that works for you, you've got to find something else that moves, touches, motivates you, right? And with that, take the time to practice it, take the time to distill it, take the time to really, really push it forward out there into the world. Because by doing so, that old belief slowly quietens down and the new belief becomes louder. And what's even more magical about this process is that you're conscious to what it is you're creating, which means is that you're baking a cake and knowing all the ingredients that go into the cake. So if you added too much vanilla, you can reduce it the next time you practice that belief, or as you reaffirm that belief. You've got to remind yourself regularly. You've got to practice regularly. And as you continue to consciously create this reality, you realize that there are many, many things that are possible. And as you continue to eliminate beliefs that you hold that just aren't true, you'll find life a lot more exciting and almost game-like. And you will definitely become less responsive to the world's bullshit and less responsive and more empathetic to other people's trouble situations, because you would have overcome them and you would have come to understand how the smallest of things really do hold us back. Remember that wherever you survive, you can thrive, and wherever you be authentically, you can become alive. Ciao.